Alright, so I'm actually really excited to check this video out here. One of my favorite things about checking out the plat diamond area is that there's almost always a major mistake you're making that we can improve upon. I need to jump back here real quick because I was talking over my own self, and I need to see who's on your team. Okay, so you're duoing with just your Mercy. Alright.
Look. They still have Pharah. I'm pulling ball mid. They have Orisa.
So your team is fighting over here, and you're shielding that way. It's the first thing to consider right away.
Point. There's a Lucio waiting outside that spot.
As your team's main tank, I want to see you keep working towards the point, because right now, you're very far from the point. And now, there's literally enemies shooting you on the point as you're walking, and you threw your shield the wrong direction. Well, you weren't even shielding against anything this direction.
We're all over the place. Backing out. Pharah's really low, Pharah's really low. Okay. Oh, sorry.
So I don't know if you've seen the way the kills have been going, but your team has lost this fight. So you need to say that, and you need to pull out. So far, number one thing is you really got to work on your positioning of where you're putting your shield and where you're standing, because you're not really helping your team if you're not shielding them.
Don't go that way, don't go that way. There's a Lucio waiting for you guys. Okay, I'm going point.
So you waited all the time to throw your shield in, but then you didn't even make it to point. The nice part about Orisa is shields off cooldown here. So right here, if you know that you're going to end right here, yellow is not the color for this. If you know that you're going to end right here, then throw your shield up there, because you're literally walking to it.
Okay, I'm going point.
You would have taken none of those Hanzo areas if you had just thrown your shield a little bit ahead of you. Like right here. Your shield was off cooldown. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It's good news at least.
Okay, back out, back out. Just back out, you guys almost have bongo.
So I'd love to see you kind of talking to your team, telling them that you all need to go together right now, and really make a coordinated push down the middle behind your shield.
Pharah has Burrows. Pulling Hanzo main. Ball.
You know why he went Ryan? He went Ryan because he didn't think he was being shielded. Did you only play Orisa? Character Zenyatta D.VA.
Unlucky.
I must have copied the wrong notes.
GG's. Okay, no, I'm not leaving until we get at least one win.
Oh, did you copy? That was a quick play game. I see here. I'm substantially less confused now.
The recording, and basically you just basically look
So is there a watch point Gibraltar coming up that you specifically want watched?
French guys.
Yes, there is.
Brigitte. Brigitte's really low.
You guys won Rialto.
It's not hard to play Orisa. So far I've been awesome.
I'm assuming this is who you really play, and maybe that's why we were struggling on the Orisa so much.
Happens to the best of us. Acknowledged. Happens to the best.
I wonder who's perfect.
I don't much like losing. I understand.
Okay, tell me if someone's on you. And I'll look behind me. Look behind me. You have Bastion?
So, you heard the Tracer, then you spent the whole time turned around, and then you backed up to the one spot your enemies can come from.
That was super amazing.
You kind of did the worst of both worlds. If you really wanted to spend the whole time looking for the Tracer, then what you needed to do was rotate over here and go by your Ana. So you're safe from the Tracer, or safer from the Tracer, and you have huge sight lines here. Instead, what you did is you spent the entire time just kind of looking over here, all over here, as you moved over here. Even if you saw the Tracer here, then you're in huge danger from the stairway. And if you didn't see the Tracer here, well, the Tracer had already dropped down, so guess where she's probably going? Either way, you screwed yourself by spending this whole time looking over here and then rotating this way. That was just the worst of both worlds. And so either one, forget about what's going on back here. Not saying it's the best choice, but it is a choice. And continue helping your Rhine and dealing some damage behind your Rhine shield. Or two, rotate back to your Ana. But don't rotate this way.
Bastion? That was guys back up. Save guys. Rodog, can you go D.Va? So we can dive the Bastion?
That was nice.
I'm on Bastion. I can't see you, Widow. We can win this. Widow, can you peek?
So you just kind of said, forget about the hog. I don't care what's going to happen to my Rhine.
This poor guy.
Because you needed to heal the Widow.
D.Va, I can't see you.
If anything, you should be going up with your Widow. That's an amazing sightline for the Zen. You can hit some awesome shots. And you're very safe up there. By comparison to where you're standing now.
They can't, I think, no, they're still going Bastion.
Did you see how you just peeked that corner and your Rhine was falling back? You could have been headshot there or melted by the Bastion fairly easily. And then you peeked a hog.
Can we push this
Hog could have totally hooked you and it would be over.
Bastion.
You gotta be hugging that corner more so you can protect yourself from the Bastion.
I have Tron.
You're in the middle of nowhere. Okay. This is one of the biggest things that happens to support mains in Plat and in Gold. So it's unfortunate to see it, but I'm not even remotely surprised to see it. You have an ult that can save your team from damage. So the second you hear damage, you throw your ult. And that is such a bad idea, because what if no one is even in danger? It's like when a soldier throws his visor, you hear that and you go, okay, Transcendence. but you're not saving your ult for something more important, and you might not be saving any of your teammates. So check this out here.
I have Trent.
So you hear tank configuration. The only person exposed is your Ryan. Your Ana's over here, and you're over here, and you can't see the Bastion yet, so he's not about to hit some crazy flank shot on you. Instead, you throw your Transcendence right away. The Bastion just shot his first rocket, and the Bastion is still going to be in tank form when you get out. You could have saved your Ryan by just waiting another second.
Oh, okay. Okay, back up. Back up or die.
The outcome is not preordained. Earthshatter ready. Group up.
We can combo McCree Ryan.
So you haven't even like hit tab or anything, and you got a lot of value out of where you're standing, but think about the fact that you're standing somewhere that you could easily get melted if they had any sort of more traditional DPS or sniper.
We can combo McCree Ryan.
Also, think about the fact that the Sombra's translocator sits right here the entire time. One nice bullet on that and you officially make the Sombra useless. Just one. Just throw one little shot over there.
I'm gonna be top. Top. I got you. She discorded.
Did you even see where she translocated? She translocated to exactly where her translocator was.
I got you. She discorded.
Look where that goes.
Okay, our McCree's dead. I'm up top with our Widow.
No one can hide from my sight.
I can't put orb on you on hack, sorry.
So right here.
Can't.
You don't have to be all-knowing, but you have Widow sights, and the Sombra's still running straight for your team. You can probably guess what she's going to do, and so I would have loved to see you back up a tiny bit. If you could have transcendenced your team here, that would have been huge. And then you fall down into danger.
You can win this. We can win this after trans. Okay, I'm not using trans. Ryan discorded. Ryan discorded.
When you have targets right in front of you, you shouldn't be charging your shots, because just holding your left click does more damage. Also, imagine if when you were getting off the spaceship, you had rotated to the catwalk over here, you could have gotten so much more value by just shooting that entire time, no danger. Keep backing up, yep.
Back to spawn. We can combo Shatter and McCree ult again. Well, we didn't do that the first time though.
Think about your spot right now. They have a Bastion, and you're literally one of the most forward people. And then you transcendence this, and you guys are just gonna get grabbed right after. Yep. You gotta think about when you're using your ults here. Because you threw your transcendence for literally no reason at all, and you guys got no value out of it. when they had grabs. I want to see you backing up a little bit. You're not going to get any value standing right there.
Run. Point.
Your positioning is making it very hard for you to do what you need to do. Now, last time I saw your Orisa, I really wasn't a fan of it, so I'm excited to see it again. I also don't love that you threw your shield right here. It's not going to help at all. What are you going to shield against?
They have a bastion too.
That bastion could have melted you before you even got your shield down, and then you're still standing in the open with a bastion shooting at you. The second you felt those bullets, you need to be rotating so you can feel the stream of them coming down on you. Your health is going down rapidly. So what do you need to do? You need to either go here or at least rotate like behind the payload so you're taking less damage at a bare minimum. Instead, you're actually standing on a platform that's making it easier for the bastion to hit headshots on you. And your Mercy is just suicidal, because that, even rezzing you, you're not going to get any value here.
What is this hog doing? Hog feeding?
He's not feeding though, because your entire team is dead. You're feeding because you're pushing into a hog while your entire team is dead. Look at this view.
Okay, I'm gonna go deep.
Hog, Rhine, Bastion, and it's just you sitting here alone.
No, then we dive the bastion.
And like going D.Va here is cool, but who's gonna dive the bastion with you? It's not gonna be your hog. It's not gonna be your McCree.
I'm on bastion.
You just threw yourself in there to die. Thankfully, they didn't even notice that you pushed the payload past their best spot. Otherwise, you guys would have stayed there all game.
Guys, I'm gonna call the engage on the bastion. Just make sure everyone's...
You're calling an engage on a bastion when no one can go with you, though.
I'm on cart. I might be able to just C9 this.
I'm taking care.
Like right here, you were holding your defense matrix, and you weren't even defense matrixing anything. And then you threw your rockets, again at nothing.
Oh no. Where is one?
Let's keep the payload moving.
Time to be young to die. Routing power to forward barrier.
So you used half of your defense matrix there on quite literally nothing. You just let the enemy Lucio walk past you. I like that you defense matrixed your Pharah. You should have aimed it actually at your Pharah instead of just at her rockets. But that was good.
Heroes never die.
Get through this.
Helden sterben nicht.
Routing power to forward shield.
There's a hog literally ulting you in your back, and you are not using your defense matrix at all.
All systems checked out.
Your enemy team threw that, and then you used half of your C9 before the Bastion was even deployed. So like, right here on, you're not even blocking anything. Your C9, or your DM was halfway over when the Bastion started shooting. I think that you've gotten as high as you have, because don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with where you are, but I think you've gotten as high as you have by having good mechanics, and maybe from the sound of it, duoing with the Smurf, but he's also kind of just feeding. So,
I'm on Bastion.
I think that you've gotten as high as you have from your mechanics. Like when you were killing that Tracer on Zen, those were really nice charge shots. Or when you killed the Rhine when he was shattered, like they were clean headshots that you hit. But you have to focus on your abilities and using those abilities to counter what your enemy's doing. Because if you don't, you're not going to climb at all. Because now you're starting to get into like the diamond area and above, where the gold and below, it's like press abilities because I see enemies. Once you start getting like diamond and above, it starts becoming press abilities to counter enemies' abilities, to force enemies' abilities. There's a real reason that like most, because you're playing on console, that most of the time, like a top 500 console player will be top 500 on PC. Because it wasn't usually their mechanics making them top 500, it was usually their game sense and their ability to counter their enemies.
Heroes never die.
Back out, back out.
Join me. Routing power to forward shield. Roger. Bailing out.
Guys, just stay in front of spawn, group up, and then go on Bastion when I call.
Shoot you down.
There's a Rhine that's gonna pin you. Yep. I feel like you almost forgot the Rhine was there. Like you just fed, you just suicided in.
My ultimate's ready.
다시 한판 해보자고.
Dog is top.
We still need you.
The Roadhog was top there and you just ignored him. I understand you had to touch the payload, but you got your Mercy killed then.
Bailing out.
Justice reign from above.
Alright, so when I first started watching the video, I honestly thought there was going to be your positioning that was holding you back. Your positioning may not be doing you very many favors, but what's holding you back is your ability usage. You have to focus on whatever hero you are, making sure that you're getting good value out of your abilities. And I mean, there's examples on every hero, and I can't obviously just teach you every hero in a 20-30 minute YouTube video, but you need to make sure that you're using your defense matrix to actually eat valuable damage. You need to make sure that you're using your missiles to actually burst down targets when you're on D.Va. Instead, half the time you're using your missiles just because you saw an enemy, and then half the time you're using your defense matrix, it's just because there was some sort of bullet shot at you. On Zen, you had a lot of the same problem. There was a Bastion with no shield on second point, free firing at your team. Throw your Discord on him and melt him. Instead, you got the Discord on the Rhine, which is usually valuable, but he was standing there shielding himself. Switch your Discord. It can go to that Bastion. in the same way, you like threw your both your transcendences at random times, so they didn't save your team. They didn't really even heal your team. They literally almost did nothing, and that was actually caused by your positioning being bad. So on your Zen, which is much stronger than your tanks, focus on your positioning and using your ultimates at a time that they'll actually get value, like when you guys get grabbed. And then on your tanks, you need to make sure that you're actually using your abilities and you're using them well. Like on your Orisa, you need to be throwing that shield down more, and you need to make sure that you're actually using the shield. And knowing when you can't use the shield, like when a Bastion is just free firing on you and you're just going to stay on the payload. If you focus on using your abilities, just based off that, you're going to climb. Pretty much guarantee it. What did you say? What is my biggest flaw in game? Your biggest flaw is your abilities. And tips on how to climb, that's what the whole video was. So I hope you learned something. I hope you climb, and I wish you